Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the second part of this lecture number 6. So today's topic, which we are going to discuss, will be the finding the small signal voltage gain and also differentiating in conceptually as well as in the form of equations get what is the large signal and the small signal operation for an amplifier. What it means that when we say large signal and small signal operation. Okay, so let's get to the business and let us find out the voltage gain expression of a common source amplifier with resistive load. Now in the last session we have given a tag to this circuit that this is a common source amplifier with a resistive load. Correct? We have already discussed this in the last session, and right now we are more interested in finding the voltage gain. So to estimate the voltage gain, we have to draw the small signal model of the circuit. Fine. And we have seen what is a small signal model. It's an attempt to linearize a non-linear MOSFET because we are just replacing the MOSFET by its small signal model. Fine. So there are certain rules in drawing. I'm revising the rules over here. The microphone signal is represented by a AC voltage source, a time varying AC voltage source. Battery V1 is set to 0 because when we say small signal model, it represents only changes in the quantities or quantities which varies with time. And V1 doesn't vary with time. It's a DC quantity. Also, VDD will be set to 0. So any independent sources will be set to 0. And finally, we replace the MOS device with a small signal model. And we have discussed this topic before. So let's directly jump into it. Okay. So here in the bottom of the screen, I want to keep both the circuits together. So between the gate and source, we have open circuit. Between the drain and source, we have GM into VGS. And we have ignored the effect of channel and modulation, that is RO is not there. And between the gate and the ground, we have V in, which is representing this microphone signal. And between the drain and the ground, we have RD. And the V out is in parallel to the drain and the source terminal. Okay. So that is what the small signal model looks like for a common source amplifier with a resistive load. Fine. So from here, since the voltages are parallel, I mean V out is parallelly connected to RD, we can write the current flowing through to RD is V out divided by RD, right? Because the current flowing will be voltage divided by resistance over here. And here this entire circuit is a linearized version of the MOSFET, right? So we can easily write this, that V out upon RD is the current flowing through RD. Now, can we say V in is equal to VGS? Yes, we can, because they are in parallel. So we say V in is equal to VGS and we apply a KCL at the drain node. So KCL means sum of incoming currents is equal to sum of outgoing currents over here. And over here, if you see at the drain node, this is my drain node, both the currents are leaving. So that means I can club them together. GM VGS plus V out upon RD is equal to 0. Correct? So V in is equal to VGS. Correct? So we want to establish a relation between V in and V out. So what can we write? GM into V in plus V out upon RD is equal to 0. So if I can push this GM into V in on the right hand side, I will get V out upon RD is equal to minus GM into V in. So what will be V out upon V in minus GMRD? You have experienced this formula before, correct? So the voltage gain of a small signal voltage gain for a common source amplifier is given by minus GM times RD. Okay, what does the negative side indicate? The negative side, negative sign over here only indicates that the input and output are out of phase with each other. Okay, so what is this GM? So just a revision of GM. GM is delta ID upon delta VGS, the changes in the current and the gate to source voltage. It's also called as the transconductance of the MOSFET. MOSFETs converts a voltage VGS to a current. That was the basic definition, right? From the equations we can get to know. MOSFET converts a voltage VGS to a current ID. So an RD, does the current ID converts the current ID to a voltage, right? So RD does a current to voltage conversion. Fine. So it means to say that over here, the MOSFET is converting VGS into ID. And ID, when it flows through the resistor, it becomes output, a voltage. So we are having two conversions. MOSFET is converting voltage to a current, and resistor is converting a current into a voltage. Hence, we have a voltage amplifier over here. Okay, just to make sure that this GM is representing the strength of the device. So how powerful the MOSFET is, ask what is the GM of that MOSFET, right? So yeah, and GM also depends upon many other factors. Now, next. So with the assistance from GM, your MOSFET converts variations in the gate to source voltage to a small signal drain current. We are talking about only subtle variations, small variations, right? So these variations, when passed through a resistor, generates a output voltage, correct? So this is our derivation for a small signal voltage gain. So what you can do is you can just draw the small signal model and just note down the formula that small signal voltage gain is given by minus Gn times Rd. I'll keep the screen for 5 seconds if anyone has doubt. Okay, fine. Let's proceed ahead. Now a very, very important concept coming up, the large signal operation. Very important concept. So let's start with an example. Fine. So what we know about the MOSFET, we know that a MOSFET will have an aspect ratio W by L, and the current flows through the MOSFET. And let's just say that we have a resistor RS connected at the source terminal. Let's just consider this an example. Okay, and we have applied V1 over here as a bias voltage, and also we have applied VDD so that we have a power supply connection in the circuit. Now this is just an example. Okay, we have to find ID. So what are the known quantities with us? We know W by L, we know mu and Cox, we know the value of V1, we know the value of VDD. So these are the quantities which we know. Now, if we apply a KVL to the gate source loop, what do we get? V1 minus VGS minus ID times RS is equal to 0, correct? So what is the value of V1? V1 is nothing but VGS plus IDRS, equation number 1.2. And do we know the value of ID? No. Do we know the value of VGS? No. There are two unknowns in one equation. So let's just say we assume the device, we have no way to know whether the device is working in the saturation or triode or a deep triode region. So let us start with an assumption that assuming device is in saturation. So what is the relation of current, what is the current equation? Half mu n Cox W over L VGS minus VTS the whole square. That is the equation which is relating ID and VGS, correct? So can we rewrite this formula in this manner that ID is written as, in this form? Can we write VGS in that form? Yes. So what do? We take this entire term down and we take the square root and we calculate the VGS value. So 2 or 3 algebraic steps is missing over here. I have not shown. So directly I have written the value of VGS in terms of ID. Earlier expression is written ID in terms of VGS. This is VGS in terms of ID. So VGS is equal to, and this is very equation also, we will be using it many times in the numericals. So VGS is equal to square root of twice ID divided by mu n Cox W over L plus VTH. Okay, so that is the expression of VGS. So what do we do now? We, in equation number 1.2, we substitute the value of ID now. VGS now over here. So what do we get? V1 is equal to square root of twice ID mu n Cox W over L plus VTH plus IDRS. Now this equation has only one unknown. Okay, and what do? We start with a iteration. We assume the value of ID and then we find the value of all the other things. So the purpose of this exercise is to demonstrate that because of the non-linear relationship. Now who has a non-linear relationship? ID and VGS, as you can see from this expression itself, from 1.3. ID and VGS relationship is non-linear. So to, if you keep it as it is, if you don't have a small signal model, if you keep it as it is, right, using the formulas, you don't approximate anything, then the calculations becomes a little complex as we go along, and things can become more complex involving more devices. Now over here, what is this? Only one MOSFET is there, one resistor is there, that's it. And still you see such a big equation which we have to solve. So what do we do is, we add a time varying signal to it. We add a time varying signal, which is the microphone signal. So what will be my V mic signal? It's Vm sin omega t, correct? So in the earlier expression, how can we modify it? Earlier it was V1, right? So we have to add over here V1 plus Vm sin omega t. And rest all the entire expression remains the same as we have done the analysis over here. Just see this equation. V1 is equal to this term over here. So what we did, we added a time varying signal, which is a microphone signal, and this becomes as V1 plus Vm sin omega t equal to this term. Okay. Now, when do we call it a large signal operation? We call it as a large signal operation if Vm is not small. If Vm is very small, comparably in millivolts, then we say it's a small signal analysis. Okay, but when the Vm value over here, amplitude of the input is not small, we call it as a large signal operation. Okay, so let us read something over here. Some words are written over here. We will understand it better. By large signal operation, we mean that the signal that is coming into the circuit has a certain amplitude, and that amplitude is not assumed to be small enough. The Vm magnitude is not specified over here. How small? I mean, not small enough means how much? 1 volt, 2 volt. So if Vm magnitude is not specified, we continue to use the complete model of the MOSFET. Correct? Because if Vn magnitude is defined, it is in millivolts, then we can go for small signal operation, then all those formulas will be applicable. But if Vm magnitude is not small, it is called as a large signal operation. Or if the Vm magnitude is comparable to the supply voltage, then we can say it's a large signal operation. Fine. So if the if Vm magnitude is not specified, we will be continue to use this exact formula, ID formula. We don't write ID as GM into VGS. We write now delta ID is delta VGS into GM. We don't write that. We use the entire formula as it is. So for the large signal operation, there is no particular limit to the input signal coming in. So remember, large signal operation is not equal to DC calculations or bias calculation. Remember that there is a distinct feature. I mean, distinguish between them. Large signal operation does not mean we are doing DC calculations or bias calculations. No. So what it means is, to make it more convenient, that for large signal operation, we use large signal model of the transistor. So what is the large signal model of the transistor? Exact expression. So between the drain and source, my current which is flowing is given by this expression. Half mu n Cox W over L, VGS minus VTS the whole square, 1 plus lambda VDS. This is what do you mean by large signal operation. There is no limit to what input amplitude is. In the small signal operation, we call it Gn times VGS. But in a large signal operation, we will write the current formula as it is. Everyone clear about it? Okay, so let us quickly wind up now. So this is about the small signal operation will be if the signal amplitude coming in is very, very small. So my small signal operation is an approximation to a large signal model. So let us start with, and quickly we will browse through it. So our lambda is 0. We assume lambda to be 0. So our input is V mic signal, microphone signal. We have VGS coming in, which is V1 plus V mic signal. And our known quantities are W by L, mu n Cox, V1 and VDD. So what is my VGS value? VGS value is V mic plus V1, which is Vm sin omega t plus V1, which is my VGS. Again, we assume that the given MOSFET is in the saturation region. Remember, the starting steps are same. Then we apply the approximations. So over here, when we assume the device is in saturation, we write ID is equal to half mu and Cox W over L VGS minus VTH the whole square. And what is VGS? Vm sin omega t plus V1. So we substitute it in this equation and we get equation number 1.4. Okay. And in this equation, which is given by half mu and Cox W over L, V1 minus Vth plus Vm sin omega t the whole square. In this expression, this is a non-linear expression, right? Here, if we consider that Vm value is very, very small as compared to V1 minus Vth. This is an assumption, right? Vm value is very, very small. It's a very small magnitude. And if it is smaller than V1 minus Vth value, then what can we write? We can have a key assumption over here. If we have 1 plus x square, which is a non-linear, we can write it as 1 plus 2x. Right now, where this we know now. What is this approximation called as? 1 plus, if x is very, very small, we can consider this. 1 plus x the whole square is 1 plus 2x, right? So over here, what do we do is, we have considered V1 minus Vth square outside. We have taken it outside, right? So we get ID is equal to half mu and Cox W over L V1 minus Vth the whole square. So when we take this out, what do we get inside? 1 plus Vm sin omega t divided by V1 plus Vth square, the whole square, in fact, right? So now if we expand, it is a plus b the whole square. So we expand this term, we have 1 plus twice a into b plus b square. So over here we apply this 1 plus x the whole square formula. It's approximately equal to 1 plus 2x. If x is very, very small. This is non-linear, right? And when we do this approximation, we are linearizing it. So what do we do? 1 plus x the whole square will be 1 plus twice x. So what do we have over here? ID is equal to half mu and Cox W over L V1 minus Vth the whole square. And what do we write this expression as? 1 plus x the whole square is equal to 1 plus twice x. So what is that? 1 plus twice Vm sin omega t divided by V1 minus Vth. So now you see my current and the input, that is Vm, has a linear relation. Vm non-linear term is gone. Vm square term is gone. Okay. So this is our equation number 1.5, which is an approximated linearized form. Now you will say it contains a lot of terms, square terms, but these square terms are of DC quantities, right? They are not changing with time. Mu and Cox is a constant, W by L is a constant, and V1 and Vth are also a constant, right? So only variable term over here is Vm, and that Vm is in a linear relationship with this ID, drain current ID. So now if you look carefully in this equation number 1.5, this first term over here, half mu and Cox W over L V1 minus Vth, it's actually a bias current due to V1. Okay, because what happens is when we apply a DC voltage V1, there will be a bias current along with the DC voltage generated, and this is my bias current. Fine. So my drain current is a addition of two quantities. One is my bias current and other is my signal current. If I open this bracket up, I will write ID is equal to I0 plus twice I0 divided by V1 upon Vth. From here we are writing Vm sin omega t. Okay. So we are calling this term as the bias current due to V1. So ID is a addition of both the bias currents. I mean both the bias current as well as the signal current. This is my signal current. Fine. So listen very, very carefully now. So the same circuit is divided into two parts. In one part, we have only V1. We have separate. We have first superimposed the AC signal and the DC quantity. Now we are separating them together. So what this expression means is that if I have a V1 biasing, I will have I0 current, bias current only. And when I have a microphone signal, I will have only the signal current here, even without the supply. So I have a signal current flowing through to this transistor, twice I0 V1 upon Vth into Vm sin omega t. Correct? So the circuit will consist of two currents. One is the bias current I0, which is superimposed on the signal current, which is this quantity twice I0 upon V1 minus Vth into Vm sin omega t. So what it means is your complete model of your circuit becomes something like this. Okay, so we have input signal in the form of V mic. We have, sorry. Yeah, so this is the complete signal. So we have identified two currents, I0, and we have identified another current which is twice I0 divided by V1 minus VT as Vm sin omega t. So this is my complete model of my circuit. We have two currents flowing I0 and this the quantity. So under no signal, my VGS value will be equal to V1, correct? So if my VGS value is equal to V1, what is my I0? I0, what is my I0 value? I0 value is half mu n Cox W over L V1 minus VTH the whole square. Okay, so this term over here is bias independent. Are you understanding what do you mean by bias independent? Bias dependent, sorry. This term twice I naught upon VGS minus VTH is bias dependent because it depends upon V1. And its expression is similar to the GM expression. Now what is the GM expression given as? Twice ID upon VGS minus VTH. Now this is also twice I naught upon VGS minus VTH. And also the microphone signal is creating a change in VGS. So as a result, what will happen? MOSFET is also changing the drain current. So your delta ID is equal to Gn times delta VGS. This we know. So your GM is equal to delta ID upon delta VGS. This we know. But there is this concept that under no signal, this term over here is bias dependent. Fine. So it has to be considered. So let us come back to this now. I mean, this I have just marked with colors. So this yellow color is my bias current. It exists because of the bias conditions. This green color, oh sorry, again. This green color is my change in the bias current because of the microphone signal. So the microphone voltage signals are getting converted into this current, which is given by this formula. It is also given by Gm times Vm sin omega t. Okay, because this is the expression of expression of Gm, twice ID divided by VGS minus VTH. So this is also some form of a transconductance also. So this is what is resulting, that this is what is the change in the bias current as a result of this signal conditions. So what do? We don't, evaluate this entire circuit together. What do? Is we separate them together. Okay. So if you separate them together, we have our large signal model and we have our small signal model. So if you just consider a yellow color term I0, so what is the expression for I0? Half mu n Cox W over L V1 minus VTH the whole square. So if you consider only the biasing conditions, it becomes a large signal model, and there is no limit to Vm. And if you consider only the microphone signal, the changes, then it becomes a small signal model. And then it is represented by this form, V mic, then GM into V mic, right? VGS, whatever we call it, right? So, small signal model will only represent the changes in the voltages or currents. So basically, whatever is changing with respect to time, that comes in the small signal model. Okay, and whatever the biasing conditions are, along with the input, it becomes a large signal model. Fine. So a small signal operation means that the signal that is coming in creates a very small change. So ID becomes ID plus delta ID. ID value might be 2 milliamperes, but delta ID might be 10 microamperes, very small value. It brings out the small change in VGS also. So VGS becomes VGS plus delta VGS, and it will lead to overdrive voltage change also. So VGS minus VTH will become VGS plus delta VGS minus VTH. And this change is very, very small. And finally, it leads to the change in the drain current. So drain current becomes ID plus delta ID. So this is what do you mean by small signal operation. So basically, this small signal model is representing the linear version of the MOSFET. Okay, it is linearizing the non-linear MOSFET. And why we so much are concentrated on the small signal model, right? Why? Because it will lead to simpler linear calculations rather than going all out and do with start. No, I want to use the exact formula. I want to use large signal model. Rather than doing that, we go for small signal model. Okay, so this is the entire analysis and the distinguish between your small signal model and your large signal model and how they came into existence for an amplifier. specifically common source amplifier. Any doubts in this? Okay, so that is all for today's session. We have completed a very important topic, understanding the large signal operation as well as understanding what do you mean by a small signal operation. And we have also evaluated the small signal voltage gain for a common source amplifier with a resistive load. Okay, so next time we will continue with the same topic. So yeah, that's all for today. Thank you for joining. If you have any doubt, you can ask. Okay, so just wait for 5 seconds. Let me download the attendance.